Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. Now, SARS has publicly apologized to several employees who were affected by events that unfolded during the capture of the entity between 2014 and 18. In a statement, SARS Commissioner Edward Kieswetter apologized to employees including Ivan Pillay, Adrian Lekay and Johan van Lochrenberg. Let's discuss what this apology means to the former employees. We're joined now by Bernard Hotz. He's from Worksman Attorneys. He's a lawyer representing Johan van Lochrenberg. Thank you very much, Mr. Hotz, for your time. This is, of course, an apology that comes after the Constitutional Court made that ruling against the public protector's report into the alleged rogue unit. I'm just assuming, for your clients, yes, fine, the apology is all good and well, but their lives were ruined. How are they feeling?
Hi, Maseka. Thanks for having me on. And just to correct, I was privileged to not only represent Johan van Lochrenberg, but also Mr. Ivan Pillay.
Yeah.
So, it's bittersweet because really what we've witnessed is justice. And it's very difficult for people to actually appreciate that the legal metronome beats at a very different pace to other metronomes. It's a long process, it's a drawn-out process, but eventually justice has been served. And what's particularly important is to have regard not to what the Constitutional Court said yesterday, because that was really the final nail in the proverbial coffin. But what they said is they're not prepared to entertain this case because they agreed that the original judgment by judges Bakwa, Basson and Wendell was 100% correct. And that panel, those judges were the ones who actually heard the facts. And what I want to read to you, because this is what's so important, is an extract from the judgment. This is from the judges' mouths themselves, where the judges said the following. Said it is important to note that no other party in these proceedings, including the public protector and the EFF, has sought to respond at all to what Mr. van Lochrenberg testified to in the affidavit opposed to by him. What he says thus stands entirely uncontradicted and unchallenged. The public protector has put up no facts or evidence, either in the report or in her affidavits filed in this matter, that refutes the evidence provided by Mr. Pillay and now by Mr. van Lochrenberg. This evidence is the most egregious failure of the public protector to understand and honor the most basic requirements of the office she occupies. It is plain that the public protector has approached this investigation with an unwavering commitment to her own preconceived views and biases. The manner in which the public protector had and continued to simply ignore Mr. Pillay's evidence clearly demonstrates her manifest bias. That's what the court said then. And what the Supreme Court of Appeal said and what the Constitutional Court has now said is that that finding by those judges stands, and that's the end of it. The tragedy is that this is really what happened as a result of state capture, where SARS, which was within the top 5 revenue collection agencies within the world, was decimated through the process of state capture. And in the process, people, honest, hardworking people, their families, their lives were just made absolute hell throughout this period for doing nothing more than their jobs to the best of their abilities.
And it's been 8 years of this fight. The first time that the public got to know about this rogue unit was through newspapers, of course, a series of articles released, the first one 8 years ago. So I'm just wondering how it's been for both your clients throughout the 8 years. I mean, I read the book by Johan van Lochrenberg, and he was talking in that book about how it basically also almost ruined his family.
First and foremost, you have absolutely no malice whatsoever, but you referred to the term rogue unit. Now, that term has rolled off people's tongues without really appreciating how that was conceptualized right at the beginning and the harm that has caused to people. And you correctly say, People have died. People's families have been broken up. Children have been destroyed because their parents, their reputations are in tatters. It's just a catastrophe. So when you look at why I say bittersweet, because justice was served, but my goodness, people along the way were hurt, all in the name of state capture.
And tell me, will they be looking to get any other legal redress, whether it's against individuals who wrote the articles, companies that, put the articles on the newspapers, or even the Public Protector's Office herself?
What I would like to see happening as a lawyer is twofold. Firstly, I would like to see those people who caused this havoc to face their day in court and to suffer the consequences of their actions when the evidence, and this is as a lawyer, when the evidence is adduced which shows their guilt. So they must go through the process and they must suffer the consequences. I believe in relation to my client and the others, I think it's time, I really think it's time for them to look forward. They've been through enough. It's time for them to put this behind them, to try and recover psychologically, financially, and to look ahead and try and lead lives without this constant nightmare hanging over their shoulders.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Holtz, for speaking to us and for clearing things up in terms of how your clients are feeling now. I'm sure wherever they are, they feel relieved. But I mean, after 8 years, I can imagine that they still have some anxiety every time they wake up to hear anything that has to do with the alleged rogue unit. Thank you very much for speaking to us. That was Bernard Holtz, a lawyer representing both Johan van Logerenberg and Ivan Pillay.